Okay, folks. Yeah, I'm really sorry that we were a little bit late. We've had a little technical difficulty, but here we are, and we're going to have a great time. Okay, so I'm pleased to be here with my dear friend Jill Oliver. I've known her for what, 20 plus years, and I'm going to let her talk more than me. Because the reason I wanted to interview Jill is because I've been so impressed with her journey through life, her healing journey, and all the things that she's done. I recently had the honor of going up to her cabin outside of Leadville, up in the middle of nowhere, up in the mountains, and got an opportunity to visit with her and see her beautiful creative workshop where she is right now. So, Jill, I'm glad you're with us. So let's just start. Tell our group a little bit about yourself, whatever you want to say. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Wanda, for this opportunity. Um, I guess I'll start back from my birth because there were some hints back there about what is happening to me now. But I was born, my mom was a tiny lady, and they didn't realize until I was engaged down in the birth canal that I was a very big baby. So they gave her a general, put her out, and it was a manual removal of me vaginally. And I was my head was very beat up, and the doctor was very upset with the delivery. He was just didn't think I was going to live, thought I wouldn't live to see a year, thought I would have brain damage.
Mm.
So fast forward to about 2 more years. I wasn't walking when I was 2, and my mom was told that I had loose joints and that I had excessive muscle elasticity. And then that was kind of the end of it. So my life was relatively uneventful. I was a very active teenager, loved sports, really didn't have any inclination of anything going on. I did end up leaving my hometown when I was 18, and I met my first husband, which I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about that, but it was a 25-year relationship that was very mentally and emotionally abusive, not physical. He's a narcissist and he's questionable sociopath. So I did go through a lot there, and still healing from that. I feel I've moved quite a lot forward in my life on that story. But about the time when I was 28, I delivered my twins. So I already had a 2-year-old at the time. And generally, at the end of a pregnancy, your joints lose. I was having some difficulties, and went to see the doctor. And they diagnosed me then with undifferentiated connective tissue, which soon they called lupus. Interestingly, though, none of the lupus drugs never seemed to help me. I was in incredible pain first 10 years of this adventure. I mean, pain that you would not imagine. Raising my 3 kids basically alone. And then I was in Minneapolis at that time. And that's when I met you. Out to Colorado. Got a new rheumatologist, and he just visually by my hands, and I'm gonna show you one. I'm recovering from a shoulder surgery right now, but my hands are deformed, and so just visually, he diagnosed me with RA, and that opened up a whole new group of drugs for me. So I started to feel better, but still no lupus drugs worked. I'll back up a little bit in my work history. I was a nurse initially, and then all of this started at about 28, and that's when I went. I was fascinated with the art of homeopathy, and I went to school with you. And one of my hang-ups, I guess, being a homeopath, was it was really hard for me to treat people when I couldn't treat myself, or the modality wasn't helping me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I always felt it was a healer. And so that was very disappointing to me. But anyways, it moved to Denver. ended up getting divorced probably 9 years ago, and interestingly, my health improved quite a lot at that point. I had no more mysterious fevers. I wasn't in and out of the hospital with things that were blamed on lupus. And I went to go, I had knee problems, so I went to an orthopedic guy, and he said to me, has anybody ever told you you have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome? Well, now this points back to when I was 2. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disease. It's genetic, and it's basically loose joints. So my whole life I've had the disease. It just didn't manifest itself until I was a little bit older and had some less muscle mass, I guess, to hold the joints in. So physically, right now, I'm just going to kind of do a quick rundown of my joints and how they behave. I just had my shoulder, a reverse shoulder replacement last week because I had no rotator cuff, none, no rotator cuff. This one's next. It has a little bit of a rotator cuff, but they still need to do the reverse shoulder replacement on that one.
Wow.
And I've had multiple surgeries on this hand. This hand, I'm set up for a fusion of my wrist in about 8 weeks, and he's going to try to fix my fingers a little bit. But I've had multiple hand surgeries, joint replacements of the larger knuckles, fusions of the smaller ones. That's my upper body as far as the disease goes. I was born with one of my femurs kind of rotated a little wrong in my hip. So I kind of always had this little ditch in my walk. My hips so far I've not had surgery on. I've had my knees replaced. I've had several foot surgeries. Most recently, the last 2 falls, I've had been attempted to have my right foot reconstructed, and those 2 surgeries have failed, and they were very hard surgeries to recover from, both physically and mentally. So I still have a really hard time walking. And because of the Ehlers-Danlos, the way I walk is very like penguin-y like. So I have really difficulties with mobility. And that's about, the Ehlers-Danlos. It just has affected my whole body and is slowly taking over my joints. Like I said, I still need a left shoulder replacement. I still need my feet reconstructed. My right wrist fused and a pinky bone that's broken replaced. So it's pretty much every year I have at least one surgery.
Wow. The reason I wanted to talk with you, Jill, is because many people struggle with all kind of health problems. And the thing that has impressed me with you is how you have just kept plugging along, overcoming every little thing that pops up that many people will have given up many years ago. So can you tell us a little bit about what kept you going? What inspired you? What helped you get up every morning?
Well, I guess I look at it as this is what I've been given. And it's my choice how I want to deal with it. I could feel sorry for myself. I could give up. But I see it as this is my one life, and I want to make the most of it. I'm here no matter what, so I may as well have a good time while I'm here.
Well, I've always been impressed with your sense of humor. You make me chuckle a lot, how you'll see something and kind of see it in a humorous way and be lighthearted about it. And you're also very strong in your ideas about equality and doing the right thing. And you're in your studio right now, right? Yeah. Let's see, you're looking out your window. I've been there. So you're looking out the window, right?
Right now, I'm looking at my favorite 14er, Mount Elbert. I love him. He has a heart on him. It's a crater that looks like a heart, and every day I wake up and I love where I live. I'll tell you a little bit about that. It was a manifestation, actually. After my divorce, I spent about 6 months getting to know myself. What was my role in this marriage? Why did I allow these things to happen to me? And I happened upon the movie The Secret. And really the only thing I can tell you that I remember about it is there was a man who made a vision board of everything he wanted in his life. And at some point he had to move, so he packed it up. And it stayed packed up through a few moves. And finally he was, settled down maybe 10, 12 years later. And his son was opening up the boxes and brought him his vision board. And lo and behold, the house he was living in was the house that he had put up on his vision board. And so the movie encourages you to do a vision board, and I just didn't really want to do that. So I wrote in my diary, I want to live in the mountains in a cabin with the love of my life.
Mm.
I was struggling to even feed my kids. We were eating at, I was getting my groceries from food shelves, and there was no love of my life in sight at all. But I just kept working on myself, and it's been a progress. Every day I work on myself, try to get to know myself a little better, and just really put a positive attitude out there. And then I started dating, and that wasn't really going that well. And I switched to a different dating app, and I was just flipping through the pictures, and I guess if you flip and you like so many pictures, you get a free coin to communicate. And I came upon my now husband, Troy. I came upon his picture, and right in I just couldn't believe it. I was looking at my girls, and I'm like, this is going to be your future stepfather. And long story short, we communicated by my free coin, my email, and we talked on the phone for 3 weeks, and we met in person, and we could have gotten married the next day. I mean, he is my soulmate. He is the love of my life. I am so grateful that he has entered my life. But at the time I met him, neither of us knew that our goals were to live in the mountains. And 3 months after I'd known him, he was traveling. At the time, he fixed wind turbines, so he was in Kansas. And he said, hey, can you run up to Leadville and look at a cabin for me? So I did. Long story short, I am now living in a cabin in the mountains with the love of my life. And part of that, and I think kind of what we're going to get into is my creativity and how I've been using that. When I moved up here, when I was a kid, I loved to ski. And my parents brought me out to ski. I grew up in North Dakota, and they brought me out to ski here at Keystone, which is 40 minutes away. And I fell in love with Colorado, and I fell in love with the mountains. So when I moved back up here, I wanted to ski. But I'm disabled. My foot turns out, my hips are weak. So I sought out a disabled ski coach. His name was Harry. He was in his 70s. And long story short, he wanted to see how well I was able to sway to ski, because he wanted to put me in a sit ski where you like sit down and you're skiing. And he noticed that I enjoyed music and I was able to, keep with the rhythm. And he said, by chance, do you do art? Because usually people who are musically inclined are artistically inclined. I said, no, I've dabbled in crafts and arts my whole life, but not really. I don't do anything. So he set up an easel, and he had me watch a Bob Ross and said, go paint. And I painted it, and he was just floored. That was the beginning of my passion for painting. So one day I was at home, and I actually pencil sketched the mountains. My husband walked by, and he said, how long did that take you to do that? And I said, I just sat down and I did it. And he said, you need an art studio. So where I'm sitting now used to be a shed and a well house, and my husband converted it into this amazing space, which is my art studio. I love the feel. I love being out here. I went from painting. I still love to paint. And I paint to challenge myself, but I've also taken up, I do a little resin art. And then the last couple of years, my husband got me interested in stained glass. And about a year ago, I don't know if you recall my big cat Bodie that came with the cabin.
Yeah.
He passed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got his ashes, and they came in this probably a 50-cent tin can. I started to think about stained glass, and I thought, I want to make really pretty stained glass boxes for people to put their animals' ashes in. That was the beginning of my dream. And what it has actually ended up to be is that I've done some pet portraits of animals who have passed. And that is my way to be a healer.
Yeah.
That's my way to heal hearts. And that I am so excited about. I'm stuck now with this right arm in a sling, and it's just killing me to not be able to be working on these stained glass dogs that I have. I have a list that I'm working down every day. But it's just able to heal. Like I said, I've always thought I was a healer. And when I started this stained glass, I was so passionate about it. And I'm like, well, how does this fit into me being a healer? And so I figured it out.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful story. In the process of living our life, we're constantly healing ourselves or bringing ourselves into a place of wholeness, even in the midst of what doesn't look like wholeness, disfigurement, joints that are too lax, that don't work the way we want them to. But the reason I just want you to say something about how your creativity has helped you stay focused on your own innate wholeness.
That's a good question. It motivates me. I'm stubborn. I'm the type of person that I don't like to be told what to do, and I don't like to be told what not to do. And there's oftentimes I'll come up with an idea, and my husband's like, "Oh, I can't. That's not possible." And my attitude is, "Well, let's find a way to make it work." And I mean, don't get me wrong. I throw myself some really good pity parties sometimes, but my goal is if I want to do it, I'm going to find a way to make it work. And I'm fortunate to have a husband who also he's a carpenter. He knows to do all this stuff. So he helps me do some modifications of things. But I guess, through my art, every day at the end of the day, I kind of evaluate my day, what I got accomplished, and who I was that day. And some days, I could have improved quite a lot. And other days, I'm actually quite proud of who I am. But I'm very open always to exploring me, my reactions to things, what motivated me.
Yeah.
In the background, I have a big black canvas that I have a painting on top, but
I can see it. Yeah.
And what I am doing is I'm painting the dark side of the moon. And that's a reminder that we are the whole moon. We're not just the bright side of the moon. We are the whole moon. And it's very important to know that dark side of the moon, become a whole person, and accept the whole moon. Being honest with yourself and looking at yourself, not in your favorite outfit, because everybody likes how they look in their favorite outfit. It's looking at yourself naked and really exploring who you are and being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people say they can't, they admire me and they couldn't do it. And I guess my comment to that would be is you can do anything you want to do. You have to put your mind to it. I have a tattoo on my arm that I can't show you here, but it's a Viking rune, which basically means if you have a will, you have a way. And I'm just determined, if I want to do something, I'm determined to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, and you will. And that is what I want people to get from this, is that we all have some kind of little issue in our life. It could be a mental issue, depression, anxiety. It could be a structural physical, like you, Jill, or it could be some kind of metabolic problem. But if we focus in on the life energy, as we say in homeopathy, the vital force, the vital energy, and get into alignment with that and do all the things that we need to do in the way we live our life foods we eat, getting motion in your life, decreasing the amount of stress, having good relationships with people, that begins to give you the resilience to overcome so many things. And, and before we sign out here, and I want to thank our Facebook group, because I've never done a Zoom live. I hope it's working. If it's not, we'll edit this and put it up there. But Tom is going to help us do that. Is there anything you want to leave our group with about how you've managed to live such a beautiful life?
I think huge is knowing who you are and loving who you are. Dark side of the moon and all.
Yeah. Self-love. I frequently ask patients, do they love themselves? And I get some interesting answers. It's like, oh, nobody ever asked me that before. So it's about, if you love yourself, you're going to honor this beautiful sacred temple that houses our soul and allows us to move through life in a joyful, spiritual, creative way. So anyway, Jill, gosh, thank you. And we're going to do this again. I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but we're going to figure it out. And is there any way before I sign out that you can take your camera and show the folks your studio?
Let me give it a try with my 1.5 arms.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot about that. Don't try. No, we'll do. Yeah, I don't want you to hurt yourself. I forgot your arm was in a sling. Okay, well, okay, there you go.
There we
And
go.
around.
And back there's my easel. And then over here is just my meditation corner. I don't know if I in here, over there.
Yeah.
And I would go around and show you the beautiful mountains, but they right now look like they're overcast and have snow, so that'll have to wait for another time.
Okay, we'll do it another time, okay? All right, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. I love you. You're a beautiful human being, and I've always wanted you to work with me, so we got to figure that out, okay?
Love you too. Thank you.
Okay, folks. Well, I'm not sure how to end this, but I'm going to try. So, bye-bye.